only I can overcome my suffering. I overcome all suffering within my experience. This is done by overcoming the experience itself. The experience is not physical, it's not solid. There is no separation. The experience is experience of mind. Everything you experience is your mind. There is no external world. So when you get rid of a physical experience, you overcome suffering, because suffering originates in an external physical experience. But there is no one else out there. There is no God out there. There is no physical reality out there. There is only mind. Mind is the same as oneness and is the same as the higher self. Mind is unity, but it's also loneliness, because I am you, you are me, and we are alone. There is only one being. And this reminds me of a person I met. He used to be a friend of mine. He started a court case against his landlord for housing disrepair. He wanted the kitchen to be done properly. It was very nasty. And he issued a court proceedings against his landlord. And he was so stressed and so upset with the whole thing, with the case that he had started. Even from the very first day, when he started the case, he was already so stressed. And the amazing thing is that the case, for the first 2 years, it was completely inactive. And it was only on the third year that there was finally a court hearing. But this poor man, he was stressed for 3 years, for no reason really, because even for the first 2 years, the case and his file case in the court was not even yet archived. It was as if they didn't even know it existed for 2 years. Such was the backlog and the amount of cases they had. There was such a long waiting list. So this poor man was suffering unnecessarily with self-inflicted suffering. Why? Because nobody knew about his case for the first 2 years. And even during the third year, they didn't even look at it properly. And but more importantly, is because there is actually no courtroom out there, and there was no enemy, there was no landlord, there was no house, there was no courtroom, there was no judge, other than in our mind. So there is not only unnecessary suffering because of the problems that we inflict upon ourselves, but to get rid of the suffering, we need first to realize that there is no physical reality out there where the problems can originate in the first place. Nip it in the bud. If there is nothing from where the problems may originate. You're nipping in the bud the whole issue, because now when you eliminate the external world itself, you obviously eliminate every possible problem that can emanate from the external world, but you remain free to choose whatever positive experience you want to enjoy from your mind, once you recognize that it's only everything that you see, everything you ever experience, only your mind. The case of my friend is not such a rare case. It's a human disease. We as humans, we are convinced of the existence of an external world, and we are convinced that it can affect us because it's real. And then in our mind, our common mind, we develop different events that take place within the fake reality, because only take place in our mind. The events are nothing but imaginations, like dreams, that are happening in our common mind. So this is the human disease. There is no external reality, and that includes an external God. There is no external God. There is no need to keep praying to an external God out there, because there is nobody there. There is nobody there. There is, however, oneness, which is the mind, which is the higher self, which is common for everyone, including every animal, including every tree and every blade of grass. They all belong to one common mind. They are all products of the mind, of the common single mind, to which we all belong. Unnecessary suffering. So easy to overcome. Only once we are able to take the leap of faith. The leap of faith means the realization that everything that we have ever experienced, everything that we can possibly ever experience, is only mind. There is no external reality. And in the next episodes, I will develop on this, and I will go in detail about the discoveries of science and how both quantum mechanics and the theory of relativity can be unified in an understanding of oneness, of everything being one single mind. When we accept that all is one, all the possible paradoxes dissipate instantly. So let's go back to the leap of faith, the realization, the epiphany that everything we are and we can experience is in the mind and not the other way around. We need to make this leap, but this is not a leap that can be made lightly. This is not a leap that anybody can make just like that. We need to do it ourselves, because there is nobody else out there, there is no God out there that can do it for us, and we are alone as lower selves and alone as higher self. To make this leap of faith, we need a gradual process of self-remembering. And this reminds me of Plato. He used to say that we don't learn in this life, we only remember from a time prior to our physical birth. We remember. So we must remember that we are part of a mind. We must remember that everything that we have experienced, including the strong sense of separation from other bodies, that this is all illusory, because there is only mind, and that is a single mind for everyone. I have summarized 3 steps to help the process of making the leap of faith towards the mind and away from external reality. So there are 3 steps. First, we need to advertise ourselves to oneness. As lower selves that we are, we need to advertise our existence to the single mind. This is important because although we may think that we as lower selves are part of mind, and we are, we must not assume falsely that the single mind that we belong to knows of our particular lower experience and existence. Just like, for instance, you are right now unaware of your little toe. Your little toe exists for you, and the lower self is the little toe that must advertise itself to the higher self, which in my metaphor is the human body. So the lower self, as the human body, must advertise itself constantly to the higher self, to advertise its existence, to help the higher self remember, self-remember that we also exist as individuals in the lower self. We must do this as lower selves constantly. We must keep advertising to draw the attention of the higher self upon us in full, like a laser beam of focus, of attention. We must draw it from the higher self oneness mind unto our individual lower self body and experience. We must do so constantly, just like a successful company like Coca-Cola. They are very well established and yet they keep advertising. They must do so to prevent their company brand from gradually falling into forgetfulness. But it's the same as a plane that is flying high and decides to turn off the engines. It will sooner or later fall to the ground, because even though it's flying high and well, the plane needs to keep the engines on all the time. Likewise, Coca-Cola needs to advertise regularly, even though they're well established and flying high. Likewise, the lower self must keep drawing the attention of the higher self upon itself, to remember the higher self of the existence of this very small region of itself within oneness. We must remember, we must keep advertising our existence to the higher self. We must keep our engines on at all times, even when we are flying high and feeling well. Ever more so when we are feeling bad and we are having negative emotions and negative thoughts, even more so. We must keep advertising, we must draw the attention of oneness upon our little lower self. So this would be step number 1 in order to make the leap of faith from external reality unto mind. The first step, as I said, it would be to contact the higher self and advertise our existence. The second step will be to make ourselves available as lower selves, to fully surrender to oneness, so that oneness can buy us, like he who buys, like a consumer who buys a product that is advertised. Oneness must buy our existence, which we do by drawing attention unto oneness, so that oneness can focus her attention unto us and quote unquote buy our existence. And the third step would be is to keep doing this, keep advertising ourselves to oneness, so that it doesn't forget us. Because by doing the advertising constantly, what we are doing is to turning this dream into a lucid dream. We are constantly telling the dream, I know that you are a dream, and that means I become aware that I am in a dream, and that means a lucid dream. Because this reality is mind, is not a physical external reality. It is, I'm not saying this is a dream, but it's like a dream. It's got the same fabric, it's made of the same fabric. So both dreams and waking experiences are mind. So what I'm saying is that I'm not saying this is a dream, this reality, waking reality is not a dream reality, but it is mind reality. Both of them are mind realities, different species of mind realities. Nonetheless, both are mind. And therefore, we have, like in a lucid dream, we must also in this reality try to be lucid. And we are so, because when we are lucid in a lucid dream, we are able to perform miracles. We are able to do things that we would otherwise be unable to do. And we are able to do things, miraculous achievements in our dreams only when we become lucid. Only when we become aware that we are in a dream and remain in the dream. Therefore, since we have established that waking reality is also mind, we must be lucid. We must be lucid inside the mind. In our waking experience, we have to be lucid. This is a lucid dream. This is like a lucid dream. And by doing so, like Jesus said, if your faith is genuine, even though small like a mustard seed, you will be able to do miracles. You will be able to tell the mountain to cast itself onto the sea, and it will be done. It will be done because it is a mind experience.